Hi guys, so today I have been for my smear test or cervical screening, depending on what you call it, and I just thought I would kind of come on and just talk about it a little bit because I know that some people can find it very daunting. And actually I didn't find it all that bad, so I just thought I would film quickly just to kind of hopefully make those of you that have them booked or have received their letters feel better about what's coming, just to make it that little less daunting. So I actually got my letter at the end of last month, beginning of this month, and I kind of thought it was a mistake at the time of getting it through because I don't actually turn 25 until May, so obviously it was like 6 months, 5-6 months early. So I was quite surprised when it came through the door, and I was thinking surely they've made a mistake here. But when I actually looked into it, I realised that it was actually quite normal to receive it a few months before you turn 25. So I've been for that today, and like I said, I really didn't find it all that bad. I kind of had all these thoughts running through my head about how bad it was going to be and what to expect, and to be honest, it turned out to be a lot better than I thought it was going to be. I think what we do is we receive the letter and we go, oh my god, it's here, what am I going to do? And I think we build it up in our heads about what's going to happen and what we're going to expect, but then when you actually turn up and you have that appointment and you have it done, you're just like, what was I panicking about? And that's definitely what I've come out feeling today. I genuinely feel like it has been just so much quicker, easier and less painful than I expected it to be. So like I say, I think we just build it up in our heads and just expect the worst, so it's kind of not a pleasant surprise, but it's like it makes you feel better once it's done and over, and you sit there and you go, ah, that's it, good. So I think it really helped as well today because the nurse that I had doing it, she was really lovely. So when I first went in, she obviously was asking about the fact that it was obviously my first one, so she asked whether I knew what to expect, which I had read the leaflet that actually came with the letter. So you get like an NHS booklet which explains everything that you can expect and what's going to happen and whatnot. So I'd read that, so she kind of briefly explained obviously what I could expect, and then she asked me a few questions which are obviously relevant to the results that you might end up with. So there was things like any contraception that you're on, so like implant or injection or anything like that. The date of your last period, and just little questions like that, because these can all play a part in the results that you get, so they need to have those factors noted down in case you get an abnormal result or whatever. They need to take that into account when they're actually doing that. So she asked all those questions, and then she obviously sent me behind the screen, obviously asked me to strip from the waist down and get on the bed and obviously cover myself. So obviously that's what I did. And then when she came round, she was really so calming in her nature, so she got me talking about what I'd been doing today. So obviously I explained that I was obviously going to be going back to work. She asked me where I worked and what I worked as and stuff like that, so she really got me engaged in conversation, which obviously helped me to relax. So she did that, and then she was really good at just kind of explaining what she was doing and when she was doing, so that at every moment I knew exactly what was happening, what to expect. And the whole way through her doing it, she was constantly just checking in, making sure that I was okay. And obviously she did say at the start that if I really wasn't okay, then obviously they could just stop there, but I really didn't find it all that bad. It's a few moments of discomfort and that's it. I can't really describe what it feels like, but it's just that discomfort, but it literally only lasts for a few minutes. Now what I will say, which she warned me before I started, was that because it's my first one, it might just be a little bit longer on the discomfort because they obviously have to try and find the right area. So it might be a little bit more uncomfortable as your first one, but obviously hopefully then the next ones that you have from there shouldn't be as bad if you obviously feel real discomfort through the first one. So obviously between the ages of 25 and 50 you have to go every 3 years, and then between 50 and 64 it's every 5 years. So obviously your first one obviously is going to be that little bit more difficult for them, but hopefully obviously from there it should get easier and should be a little less uncomfortable as you carry on. So the nurse told me that I would get my results back in about 2 to 3 weeks time, and I'll get a letter through the door just to say what my results are. Now what I will say when I've looked into it is that 1 in 20 women and people do receive an abnormal result back. However, obviously I explained before that there's factors that kind of go into that result, so obviously they ask you those questions at the beginning so that if you do get an abnormal result there may be some explaining factors, i.e. the last time you had a period or stuff like that. Obviously I'm not going to delve into too much detail, I am by no means a medical professional, but it's just kind of say that obviously be aware that 1 in 20 women and people do receive an abnormal result back. So obviously what happens then is that they'll invite you back in and obviously discuss that with you and what further options they're going to take with you. However, 1 in 20 women and people do receive an abnormal result back, but only 1 in 2,000 actually leads to cervical cancer. So obviously, like I said, that just backs up what I've just said, in that do not worry if you do get an abnormal result back. It doesn't always mean that you've got cancer. Only 1 in 2,000, according to research, leads to cervical cancer. So obviously when you think about that, it is definitely worth going. It's essentially 5 minutes at most of discomfort versus potentially the rest of your life. Obviously the test isn't there to detect cancer, it's there to prevent it, and obviously the abnormal result would obviously ping that up and they would go further. But it's 5 minutes of discomfort versus potentially not having one and it be the rest of your life. It is so worth it. It's so important, and I do recommend you go for it. When I've looked into it, according to cancer research, around 3,200 women and people are diagnosed with cervical cancer each year. That's more than 8 per day. Please do not make yourself that 1 in 8. Like I said, it doesn't detect cancer, but it does help prevent it. So if you have been invited and you have received your letter for your appointment, please get it booked, because it is just so important, and I promise you that it is not as bad as we all kind of make it out to be in our heads. It really is only a couple minutes worth of discomfort and that's it. It's done, and it's done for another 3 years, and it is, yeah, it is so important. So with that being said, I do have a few tips. So when you first receive your letter, you actually get a booklet from the NHS with it, and in that it explains what's going to happen, what you can expect and stuff like that. So I do recommend giving that a read, because it means that you know exactly what's going to happen, what you're going to expect, and it makes it that little less daunting walking into that room when you go and have it. If it is your first time having one, I do recommend, if you want to know what's happening at every single turn, then just ask them. I'm sure they'll be more than happy to accommodate that. At the end of the day, it's their job and they just want to make you as comfortable as possible, so it's as easy as possible. Obviously try and keep calm. I know it's not always easy, it is a daunting thing, especially when you're going for your first one, but do try and keep calm. Obviously it makes it a lot easier for them. And really the last one is that I know a lot of people can be quite embarrassed about going to have their downstairs checked, but just remember, this is their job. Do not be embarrassed. You cannot let anything like that stop you from going for something that is so important. So yeah, so that's just a little bit about obviously my experience today and the importance of going for a smear test, and obviously things that you can do that will just help you that little bit more, just so that that you can kind of make it a little bit easier on yourself and a lot less daunting. I know how hard it is, obviously I've just been through that, but honestly I came out today, I got back here and I was just like, that really wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. Hopefully this will help even just one person feel a little more comfortable about what they're going into. If you do have any questions, obviously just comment them down below and I will get back to you if I can answer them. Obviously if not, I will direct you to somewhere that has that answer. Obviously, like I say, I'm no medical professional. I won't be able to answer all questions, so I will direct you to somewhere where you can get your answer. But obviously any questions you do have, then just pop them down below and I will get back to you. And I will see you in the next video.